You know, most people think of Antarctica as nothing more than a frozen desert at the bottom of the world, empty, lifeless, and untouched. But what if I told you that might not be the full story? What if this vast sheet of ice is hiding something so big, so strange, that entire governments decided the world wasn't ready to know? Welcome to Rivo TV, where tonight, we dive into one of the greatest mysteries never told. For decades, Antarctica has been a land of secrets. It's a place where the cold is so brutal it can kill a man in minutes, where storms can last for weeks, and where the sun itself disappears for half the year. But hidden within that ice are stories of explorers who went missing, of compasses that refused to point north, of strange lights and sounds that defied explanation. And perhaps the most chilling story of all comes from a man named Robert Johnson, the last living witness of an expedition that changed history. But before we get to Johnson, let's step back. Our story begins with Admiral Richard Byrd, one of America's most celebrated explorers. In the 1930s and 40s, Byrd led expeditions deep into the heart of Antarctica. Officially, they were missions of exploration and science. But the truth, as many now believe, was far more complicated. See, Byrd wasn't just any explorer. He was backed by the U.S. Navy, by scientists, and by powerful figures in Washington. He had resources most expeditions could only dream of: ships, aircraft, and entire crews trained for survival in the harshest place on Earth. And the things he found, well, some of them were never written down. One clue comes from the ancient world. Long before Byrd, maps from the 1500s, like the famous Piri Reis map, showed Antarctica not as an icy wasteland, but as a land with mountains, rivers, even coastlines free of ice. How could people centuries ago have drawn Antarctica without ice, when we supposedly discovered it much later? Some say it's proof that an ancient civilization once lived there, before the continent froze over. Now fast forward to 1939. A young man from San Diego, Robert Johnson, signs up to join Admiral Byrd's Antarctic expedition. He thought it would be the adventure of a lifetime. He didn't know he was walking straight into a mystery so strange, he'd carry it silently for nearly 80 years. Johnson later became the last surviving member of those missions. And just before his death at the age of 102, he finally spoke. What he revealed didn't just add to the legend, it flipped the entire story upside down. Let's start with Operation Highjump in 1947. On paper, it was a Navy training mission. But think about it, 13 ships, more than 4,000 men, planes, tanks, heavy equipment, all sent to Antarctica. That wasn't a training mission. That was something bigger. Something no one wanted to admit. Johnson remembered strange events the world never heard about. Compasses spinning wildly, radios cutting out without explanation, and nights where the sky lit up with glowing objects that darted and moved faster than anything he had ever seen. One time, he stood at the edge of a crevasse where the air felt warm. In Antarctica. It made no sense. He recalled how teams were sent out to investigate odd heat signatures, perfectly round patches where ice had melted, as if something underneath was generating incredible heat. One of those teams never came back. Soon after, the operation was abruptly shut down. The official explanation? Bad weather. But Johnson remembered Admiral Byrd himself saying quietly, "We saw something out there we weren't supposed to. And now we can't go back." When Byrd returned, he looked shaken. Older. Haunted. In a strange press conference, he spoke of a new kind of enemy, one that could move from pole to pole with terrifying speed. And then, silence. Records locked away. Files classified. But Johnson never forgot. He remembered seeing photos, structures in the ice, shapes that looked too perfect to be natural. He once stood guard at what he was told was a weather station, but to him it looked like a carved staircase descending into the ice. "I know concrete when I see it," he later said. For decades, Johnson lived a quiet life. He raised a family, worked a regular job, never spoke of what he had seen. But in his final years, he felt the weight of silence pressing down on him. He told his family, "I don't want to die carrying someone else's secret." And so he revealed the most shocking part. Deep in the ice, he said, there was a hidden site. Warm, geometric, engineered. A tunnel that looked too smooth, too precise to be natural. Men went inside. Some never returned. One man came out alive, but broken. His mind was gone. He never spoke another word. Not long after, the site was bombed. Officially called a test. Unofficially, an attempt to destroy something the world wasn't supposed to see. Johnson couldn't explain what it was. Alien? Ancient? Lost technology? All he knew was that it was real. And it terrified Admiral Byrd more than anything else. Then came the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Nearly every powerful country in the world agreed, no military, no mining, no territorial claims. Only science and peace. Sounds noble, doesn't it? But Johnson didn't buy it. He believed the treaty wasn't about protecting Antarctica, it was about containing it. Keeping whatever is buried under that ice right where it is. Think about that. In the middle of the Cold War, when the United States and the Soviet Union could barely agree on anything, they suddenly joined hands to lock down an entire continent. Why? What were they so desperate to keep hidden? Over the years, other strange reports have surfaced. Satellite images showing geometric shapes under the ice. Scientists whispering about areas that seem unnaturally warm. Even modern-day pilots claiming to see glowing anomalies over the South Pole. And yet, whenever these stories come up, they're dismissed. Classified. Buried. Robert Johnson's final words still echo today. He said, "People think the Cold War was fought with bombs and spies. But I saw another kind of war, one no one ever wrote about. That's the part that should scare us the most." So, what is Antarctica hiding? Is it the ruins of an ancient civilization lost to time? A secret military base? A doorway to something not of this earth? Or is it all just coincidence, our minds trying to find patterns in the ice? Whatever the truth is, one thing's certain, the answers lie beneath miles of frozen silence. And the people who know the truth aren't talking. But maybe, just maybe, one day the ice will melt enough to reveal what's been hidden for centuries. And when that happens, the world may never look the same again. You've been watching Rivo TV. If you've got theories about what's really buried under the ice, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because the mysteries only get deeper from here. Until next time, stay curious, and stay watching Rivo TV.